Hey Alex, in last video we had an issue with that application with custom cards, and I panicked a little bit because it was almost at the end of our video, which I was doing in one take. So I take this opportunity to redeem myself, to go into some technical details of what I think happened, and to cover the topics I forgot, which were capacitor, the hybrid mobile applications that we can still build from UI5, and responsive nature of UI5 and fiori elements on top. Okay, so I believe the issue we had was related to the upgrade of UI5 from 113 to 14. Maybe it was a coincidence or accident that I was, refreshing the page in the middle of that, so I had some inconsistent stuff. But anyway, when you rely on a framework or library, you have a risk of something goes wrong, and then you want to be in control of something, right? And of course, you need, some options. And in our case, we will cover two options that we have. The first one is the basic one. The default is when we control just version of runtime through the CDN. I mean, technically they're more or less the same, but still. The first one is CDN option, and here we have the nice and beautiful documentation. Also, that one we will cover a little bit. And the second one will be the tooling, because it allows us to go completely offline. Okay, so what we have here is the this guy inserted, so to say, instead of the preview application, because I wanted to show you the bootstrap index.html I used, right? So we will open the preview next to it, okay? And of course, what we will do is we will compare the script, the tag that is the bootstrap tag UI5 uses to basically download the core and apply some parameters. Okay, so in case of a preview, this guy, as we know, is completely generated for us by cap, right? So if I change something, cap will respond, right, that there is no entity, because there is some Fiori preview magic that is registered as a middleware and blah blah blah, but if I guess correctly, and there is such an entity, it responds with the template, and it points to the default version, which as they call it, and they say default version is being upgraded. Actually, before doing this video, I never bothered reading this, so it looks like it's not the recommended way. But of course, from the cap perspective, there is no way for them to know, right, what is the current or your target version. I mean, of course, you can put it somewhere in a package like CDS Fiori preview version, but whatever. You would like to have your own index file or something else to bootstrap and configure the runtime. So in our case, of course, this is our FLP bootstrap index.html file. I believe we can also do something, can we? Yeah, like that. So basically, it's just a configuration of a shell, which is our launchpad with launchpad, I said, with cards and the launchpad services that help to resolve tiles into apps and all that, right? And of course, it's just that tag. And the thing is, you can see that I added this guy as a resolution path for its client-side target resolution service, which is a part of sap.ushell library. And you can also see that we have 2 additional configuration parameters, okay? So the thing is, I think I was able to reproduce the issue. I cannot tell what happened, but when we allow UI5 runtime to use cache, it starts caching our views, and also it starts doing something I really not sure I appreciate, right? So this is the cache view, cache manager, and the thing is, the cache manager is actually a guy that lives here in IndexedDB, right? So someone decided that it's a nice idea to put stuff, front-end stuff, into IndexedDB database, right? So I will show you the behavior we saw, right? So once I put this one to true, set this one to true, and this one to true, right? We have this, it works, and then something changes. I don't know what happens actually, right? And the table is empty, right? This is what we saw, okay? So, and yeah, if we disable this, okay, probably, I don't know, it doesn't matter if we actually still have this database, we can delete it, I don't know, we don't care. So yeah, it kind of works. And just double check that of course we run 113, and in this case we run 14. That makes sense, right? So if I just remove it from here, I can, of course I can point to 14 as well, right? But that doesn't make sense. Okay, in terms of productive usage, when for example we deploy our stuff to BTP, there is a documentation that covers this aspect, right? So imagine we have an issue and they have an issue with UI5 or whatever. So yeah, you kind of can use the version number. I'm not sure I understand how it works. I'm not sure I tried it because at least in on-premise Fiori Launchpad, when you configured your target mapping as Fiori UI5 component, it actually just dynamically instantiated it with component create. So I actually have no idea how it would implement this, option to somehow use different cores, right? And I believe, yeah, they say that you would probably like to use the same stable, blah blah blah. So yeah, but you should keep an eye on that, and also you should keep an eye on that, right? Maybe. Okay, and the other option we have is, of course, local tooling. Okay, so in both front-end projects that we have a file, UI5 YAML file, and it belongs to this guy, right? It belongs to this guy. Ah, come on, not that guy. This guy, right? There is another tooling, I believe, which is built on top of it, right? Which is this guy. Come on. Yeah. And it is, oh, come on. Why? I mean, no, please. That's weird. Okay, so this one is Fiori, yeah, a different set of middlewares and all that stuff. And I believe under the hood it uses the UI5. Which is this guy. Okay, so in this video we'll talk about this one, and we will cover the server and builder, because those are well, tasks that I commands I use, right? So UI5 serve and UI5 build. Okay. Why do we want to have this? Well, because instead of relying on CDN like we have here, we can actually switch to our own resource files, right? And that means it must be stored somewhere locally, right? Somehow. And this descriptor is exactly the configuration of which libraries do we want to use, which version of UI5 we want to have, and in our case, custom middleware to proxy, right? Because when we will run this guy, with UI5 serve, we already have everything downloaded. And by the way, it puts it into the local hidden folder .ui5 in your home. Okay, and yeah, it stores all the different versions. So in my case, currently it's like more than 3 gigabytes. Okay, so when we have this guy running, let me close that stuff, right? Because we don't need it anymore. Of course, it runs on a different port, right? So in order for us, for our applications to to reach backend without cores, would be to use some proxy, right? And they also have this. Where is this guy? Proxy. Oh, I forgot to put it here, right? I forgot. Okay. But actually it's also an NPM module. It belongs to the fiori ecosystem, I believe. So yeah, this is the configuration. It is based on Express proxy. I mean, because we're in Express ecosystem, so everything is, more or less Express related. And so yeah, this is the UI5 community, and currently they consolidated all that stuff in a single repo. Okay, but we don't care. Okay, what we care is that we have multiple proxies configured. We have these libraries loaded, and so basically that means that this guy currently, we hope. Yeah, of course, it's a different authorization. Okay. And yeah, it still hopefully shows our stuff. By the way, let's see if it has this weird bug. But I believe I turned it off, right? So yeah, in no way to test it in 114. Okay. Yeah, to ensure we do run 114, yes we do, right? Because currently we serve it from, again, let me show you, from these resources, right? These are root resources, and this is our SAP UI core.js, right? Makes sense. It must be somewhere. Sap SAP UI5 core. That's weird. I think they changed something, because this is the first file that actually is loaded. Yeah, this guy. Let me double check. Usually it's a big one. I will not be able to see this, but I can see this, right? UPage source, open this guy. Okay, version. So the npm, oh, okay, yeah, sure. These guys that I mentioned here are also, why am I switching to the, yeah, are also npm modules, right? So this belongs, of course, to OpenUI5, right? Some libraries like sap.ushell will be in the SAP space. Are you here? Come on. Yeah, this guy, right? because it's a proprietary library on top of open source OpenUI5. And that's it. So basically what this guy does, it downloads the npm packages and then, you know, does its stuff. Okay, pretty straightforward, nothing special. And let me double check. Yeah, blah 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 course. Yeah, and this guy, I'm not directly opening this because currently it works slightly different, right? So by the way, yeah, if we open it, it will say that it cannot access this root for resources because this guy will use course, right? So there is no proxy configuration involved. And when we will access this index.html, and we will talk about that. By the way, we will talk about it now. Why not? Right? So we have this path to resources, and that means it must be here, right? So somehow, instead of a root, resources and test resources for which UI5 CLI is responsible for, something must put it into the local directory, right? And also the magic here is we use the componentData, which is a nice way to communicate to your component because we have, let me close this, and that, and open the documentation. And of course our component, which is FE fiori elements core app component, of course it inherits, let me think, core app component, yeah, it inherits from UI component, which is a which is a class you would use for freestyle, and it has this method getComponentData somewhere. It probably even belongs to the core component, by the way, right? GetComponentData. And getComponentData is a nice method because you would use it to fetch the startup parameters. So if you Google for that, startup parameters fiori, you would find some blogs, hopefully, about navigation. External navigation between Fiori applications. Yeah, so when you are called like that, then you can check your startup parameters and then apply your internal navigation, right, to actually resolve the root. So in our case, we will just signal to our component that, you know, we are using mobile, so to say, mode, right? And we will do some magic. I will talk about it a little bit later. But in this embedded scenario, by the way, do we have it? Yeah, we do, right? (404). What happened to you? I switched it. Let me quickly switch it back, right? But the embedded scenario, come on. Yeah. ComponentData is an empty object, right? And then you can see that Launchpad always, shell always populates, if I'm not mistaken, always populates it, right? But we have additional checks just in case. Because if you run application standalone, it doesn't, it returns undefined or null, I don't know. So yeah, okay. We can put it back. So where were I? And yeah, okay. The whole point is to build, right? To build local resources, because this is how we would bootstrap it, right? So I will probably run it because it takes run UI5 build, right? Okay. There will be a dist folder, because in this descriptor we say that, what do we say? The web app is here. By default, it will put the dist folder into the current folder, and you see that it starts building the stuff. It took me a while to figure out how to build ushell, because even though in our standalone mode we don't have, no, not this guy, we don't have this, you know, ushell container, and, you know, we don't use launchpad, but unfortunately it uses some, it has some dependencies on it, not here. Okay, here. So we had to include this. And actually, I also found another dependency, completely random, to some, what was that, code editor, but we will take a look at it, okay? And also, by the way, while it does its job, I can show you probably that, yeah, I will show you what happens if you have an unmet dependency, right? So app flp, right? We have this guy. We remove the ushell, right? We say, yeah, we want 114. We don't want ushell. Please serve it, right? It will serve it. We'll close that one. That one. Yeah, we'll have this one, right? We have our core, but at some point, no, it's not that. Are we here? Let me double check. 80. Oh, index. Okay. Oh, no. Yeah, sure, that makes sense, because we use this guy. And I was thinking of, yeah, of showing what happens if we don't include this. Okay, but it's in the middle of building. Okay, we can skip it. No, I was thinking of, yeah, of removing this guy. Yeah, insights, because that's what happens. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, once we have some dependency, and we don't either load it as a library in preload, it will try to resolve the module. And in our case, we can see that, yeah, somehow this guy has a dependency to this guy, right? So with 114, they have this dependency. And the same situation we have here. So actually, we have the fiori elements templates, and there is some guy that needs something, you know, some minor thing from shell. And therefore, we had to build the whole thing and the whole ushell with its dependencies, and his dependencies are enterprise search, fiori elements version 2 for some reason, rich text editor, integration, where's this guy, yeah, sap.viz, which is charts, sap UI integration, which is the cards. So a lot of stuff that actually don't belong to our flexible programming model or fiori elements, right? But still. So this is the issue, okay? But I think it's done, right? So we can see that it built our stuff. Dist folder is around 400 megs, but somehow they kind of put a dist inside dist. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm using the wrong layout. The web app, you know, is current, directory, so I assume we can do this. And in this way, we just have nice and, you know, beautiful size. I mean, it's not that nice, but it's tolerable, right? Nowadays. Okay. So what we can do is, yeah, currently, now I can show you, by the way, right, what happens. So I remove this guy. I do UI5 serve, right? We will close all that stuff. So we will go, by the way, you can run more than one UI5 CLI in parallel, and you see it will just increment the port, which is not what I want, right? So I will actually close this guy, rerun it. So I am on 8080, right? And let me think what I want. I think I will do it like this. UShell. Why do you need UShell? Oh yeah, you need UShell because we said, right? Because the reason it failed was because it was looking for UShell library, right? And it was not able to resolve it, and it crashed. But if we remove it, right, it will go further. But unfortunately, that is the guy, right? So somewhere in the share block, which I believe is something, you know, in the corner, you have this bookmark button, and this is the only thing, I mean, at least the first one, but, you know, the dependency for UShell, and this is why we have all this, right? Unfortunately, no. Let me, don't save. What did I do? We love Git for that, right? No, this guy. So yeah. Oh, this is an old version, by the way. Okay, something like that, right? And yeah, to make it work, we need to put this guy back, run it, and it will work. Okay. And yeah, here you can see some stuff happening, right? And what it is, it's a prompt. I mean, old school prompt, because we are now here, and yeah, we just want to, you know, to prompt for a user. Oh, by the way, yeah, and this part, hold on a second, we built it. Yeah, so we will revert this guy, because we will need to commit, okay? So we agree that our launchpad will only have previews, therefore we don't need that, right? And yeah, the only changes we have are in the custom cards application and in our backend, and this is the part, the interesting part, right? So the reason why we need the credentials is because, as we discussed, we don't use proxy anymore, right? So we will close that guy, and that means that here we would use course. I mean, we will do the cross origin request. And somehow we would like, you know, to still reach the backend, and the backend, of course, requires authorization. And from here, I mean, from both authorization part and course part, we have some issues, right? Okay, so by the way, let me. Okay, I will commit it a little bit later. Okay, so. If I press cancel, let me put the breakpoint. Where is our component? Yeah, the breakpoint. We are here. Let me refresh. Okay. Okay. So now, yeah, we indeed see that our wrong guy again. Bloop. I mean, technically, we are using the index from here, right? But this is tracked, and it's easier. So yeah, the component data and mobile flag, which is indeed true, right? And there we go here. So nice thing, the really important thing is about what we do here is, well, usually when we have a desktop Fiori element application or Fiori application, we have at least two sections in our manifest that has something to do with the backend. It is data source definition, and it's required when we deploy. So the BTP or on-premise front-end server parses this section to determine the name of OData service and to generate, I don't know, so authorization objects and blah blah blah. But the second part is, of course, UI5 models, right? UI5 models, and by default, of course, we know that Fiori Elements uses the default model, right, without name. And of course, as we saw, it worked in case we had this embedded guy, right? It's exactly the same code. We don't do anything with that, right? The only thing we have, by the way, that's different from the default configuration is early requests, right? So the trick I use here is, it's more or less straightforward. So basically, when I understand that I need to do a course, yeah, and I'm still in the init, by the way. So before doing the, before calling the init of a parent, right, I just replace this default model. And the thing is, the good thing is, as with the freestyle applications and components, I'm lucky enough that Fiori Elements, because I inherit this guy, so there can be something before I am actually even called. But I'm lucky enough, and it works. But there is a but, of course, right? I will show you what happens, okay? So we go here, we say that we are admin, right? And we have errors. So what happens here is, according to the documentation of OData model, right? OData model v4. In OData v2, actually you had a way to use authorization, and it was, where was this? Password and user, right? And it's deprecated and discouraged and blah blah blah. It makes sense because usually when you logged into shell, the launchpad, you already are authorized, so there is no sense except for cases like ours. In OData v4, they don't have this one, but they have headers, right? And yeah, we know that the basic authorization is just a header, and they say that this guy will be sent in the batch and the requests within a batch, right? And indeed, you can see that in the payload, yeah, it adds this authorization header, right, to the batch request itself, this guy, and to the body. And the thing is, cap doesn't like it. I mean, it's not cap itself, but let us clear that. Let us do this, right? Yeah, this thing. And cap says no, because request contains invalid header. Oh, by the way, yeah, before we go here, of course we use course now, right? And we can see that there is, a pre-flight and blah blah. I'm not a big expert in course, but luckily for us, the only thing we had to do on our side to make our cap application respond with proper headers, because the magic works, I believe, relies on some headers. So of course there is, pun intended, there is, again, as I said, in the Express ecosystem, a middleware, right? And you can just use this module. And yeah, we're in full code mode, right? We already discussed it in the previous video. The full code means we can do anything. We have this Swagger, which is a part of CDS. And we have course, and that's basically it, right? So in order to have course enabled backend, and I think I will commit it, right? Edit course. Git ignore the global one. Oh, I think I'm good. Bloop. Okay. Is just that. But the problem is, right? Now we are back to the cap, that somehow they think that, you know, it's illegal to have this authorization header. And well, I think unfortunately I have no better options than to patch this guy, which is Okra, which is, I believe, their Node.js based odata server, right? So there's this guy. I kind of you know, remove it from forbiddenHeaders, because this is exactly this one, yeah, the place where we throw deserialization error. Fair enough, right? And yeah, before we proceed, we will need to go back here. We'll remove this breakpoint because our cards, you know, will be empty, right? Admin, enter. This, right? Nothing here. We have nothing here. Okay. So what we will do is we will quickly create this simple card. Some Alex add sentence, ask for help. Right. Create, parse, import. Now we have word, a pronoun. Right, we kind of think that it means I think somewhere here, I am, yeah, I mean, but whatever. So I will say it means I will make a card, and by the way, I think I didn't refresh it, right? Or did I? Because I removed this guy from here. Did I? I think I did, right? So if I will refresh now, I expect it to have just a preview, but the card is there. Okay, now it says preview. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, now we are back to the preview version, but this guy, right, must show us the card. We say we're an admin, okay, but it does not. And the irony and harmony, so to say, in the universe is actually the backend now responds with where is it? What was that? Cards. Come on. Does it? It must. Yeah. I filtered it, of course. Yeah. So, oh come on. Match. Where is the last one? Preview, right? The backend responds. So actually we do have the response, right? And there is our card, this guy, right? But the irony is there is a guide on the front-end side that says, actually, you know what? We don't have a header in the response. And the thing is, we actually do have. He's looking for that one. But somehow there is an issue with jQuery, right? So I believe somewhere, where is here? Yeah, jQuery, this guy. So actually it loses the header. Maybe because of our course stuff. I don't know. So they cache headers, they do nasty stuff. I spent an hour trying to troubleshoot it, right? And I wasn't able to fix it. But the thing is, as we now have our own build of all the resources, we can actually patch it, you know, like literally remove this check, right? So they say if version is odata, I mean, if it was not found but it was optional, we just return, and that's a nice place, right? So yeah, I will just do that. So I will look for that guy, because yeah, it's library. It must be library, because it's not that guy, by the way. It's the index, and I mean not in dist. And in dist, you would see something like that, because instead of using the, I mean, fetching the modules one by one, we just have libraries bundled, and therefore it's contained in the library preload, right? And for that was responsible our generate library preload task, okay? And this is how it is able to load it at once. So therefore we don't have a lot of requests during the load phase. Just 200, that's not that much, okay? So without further ado, we will, you know, shamelessly go here, find this guy here. Of course it's obfuscated, but this is this, right? Or true. I mean, yeah, I didn't find any better way, right? Because you can do nothing with that. It's a part of framework. It's a part of, you know, stuff that you cannot modify unless you literally patch it. Okay, now better, right? So this is our so officially this is our local build that uses cores, right, to access our backend that runs in a separate process. I mean, technically it can be different host, right? So that means if I, for example, say I can guess a card, it's refreshed, yeah, it works now, right? I start feeling that this video is already past half an hour. Okay, but I think we will wrap up soon, yeah? Because we were discussing that, yeah, to talk about capacitor, right? Because this is the thing that we missed last time. And the builder, yeah, of course, is also documented. I'm using version 2, not version 3, and therefore the default tasks are slightly different, right? So I disabled some of those and enabled some of those, right? Yeah. Blah 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 blah. Okay, what we will do now before we proceed with capacitor is we will also stage these guys, right? Because let me check. So we have this, it works. We have this. It already contains some capacitor commands. Okay, we have this guy. We have, yeah, as I said, early requests disabled, and we're lucky to, you know, to replace the model before fiori elements loads the metadata. I mean, anything, right? And the git ignore, of course, just to ignore our dist folder. Okay. Okay. The second part is pretty straightforward. So we have capacitor.js, which is, you know, for some of those, for those of you who knew what was the Cordova, Ionic, or PhoneGap, it's, yeah, these guys continue struggling with platforms and you know, try to keep it up with recent releases of operating systems to, you know, support hybrid applications. Okay, and yeah, we will just follow this guide because the prerequisites, of course, they are defined Yes, we do package JSON file because, you know, it will put some modules there, dependencies. We do have a dist folder. We do have an index HTML file, right? So we're good to go. Okay. We will do what? Where I am? Yeah, we will do that. And in changes, of course, we will see what happens, right? Capacitor core, capacitor CLI. This will be the initialization of capacitor project. Let's assume that I have this domain bot, flash, I don't know, cards. This will be the application bundle for iOS and Android, okay? This is dist, and that's pretty much it, right? So this is the config, and yeah, then we just add platforms as dependencies, right? So we have an Android iOS, and then we just, you know, generate some platform-specific files, right? Probably to create, yeah, projects, exactly. I will not show you the Android because I didn't test it. I tested it with iOS, and I will show you the iPad, so to say, form factor, which I will run with nice feature. I don't know. Let me see how it's called now. I mean, it's a possibility to run mobile applications on Mac, right? With the iPad form factor, and I will also run the emulator for a phone. Okay, so, and then the only thing that is missing is sync to sync our stuff. Okay, let me quickly see if I missed something. Course authorization header, yeah, we did that. We also hacked that. We patched the library. Authentication, I covered it, I think. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I think I covered it as well. Okay. Last slide. That looks promising. Okay, so as I said, we have this command, and we will run npm cap open iOS. It will open the Xcode workspace that, you know, is generated. Technically, it just created two folders, right? Android and iOS. Of course, it also has some files and, you know, nested git ignore files. So technically we will add these capacitor files to our project, but they are not, you know, that big. Okay, so they, I believe somewhere in the documentation they say, yeah, you add those to your repo. Okay, so it's indexed, and we see this guy. You see that this is the bundle. This is my team. Right, and it's ready, and this is the feature, yeah, run on Mac, designed for iPad, I was referring to, and hopefully it will do its job. Okay, so we would expect to see something looking like that. That would make sense. And also we would expect actually to see something, please, yes. We'll move it here, okay? We would expect, oh, come on. Where did you go? Why? Okay. Nice. So this is officially native Mac application running in the iPad form factor, tablet mode, so to say, which actually we can see that it, you know, does our backend requests. We can of course debug it, right? So let's do this, right? restart. Right, it's restarting. Hopefully. Ah, yeah. By the way, yeah, sure. The breakpoint is before we present the prompt. That makes sense. Okay. And now we see the prompt. Yeah. We're admin. We say okay. We are here. Right. And in network, I believe we must see some requests related to the backend. Yeah, makes sense. Okay, so hopefully I will be... Come on, did it crash just? Okay, it crashed. Okay, sometimes it crashes. Let's restart this guy. Both times I noticed it was crashing when I was debugging it, actually. So maybe there is some issue with debugging. Yeah, we don't have Safari anymore. So we have this guy. We say yeah, like that, and yeah, the card is number is incremented. Makes sense. The thing is, there is no navigation currently, right? So we can't go back because fiori elements are intended to be run, of course, within Launchpad. No, within Launchpad, right? And there is a navigation, and of course there is browser and stuff like that, right? In header bar navigation and this navigation. So this is an issue. And also there is another issue, okay? And this has something to do with the responsibility. Take a look at this guy. So this is the menuButton, I believe. I think we will do it like this, right? menuButton, okay, this guy, right? Also we can because we are we are aware of this, and we know that, you know, it must be covered. Somehow the behavior of our, please do it, widgets. Okay, so there is a menuButton, right? And they say, yeah, on tablet it's drop down, but on smartphone small size it must be you know, a form of a dialog. And indeed we can make sure it does it, right? So we will just open the mobile mode, and yeah, there it is, right? And somewhere at the bottom, which I cannot access, there must be, oh no, it's other way around. Yeah, this cancel button makes sense, right? Exactly as they say, right? In this case, it's kind of tablet, and we cannot tell yet that it's not doing the job, right? Oh, and by the way, if we run it here, oh yeah, here, yeah, we also have this guy. Yeah, makes sense. We can run it here. Let me zoom it a little bit, right? Yeah. So we expect it to become a popover, right? Yes, indeed. I mean a dialog, model dialog. Come on, not enough width, height. Okay, makes sense. So what we will do now is we will ask Xcode to run this guy in the phone, right? I believe I was using this one. But somehow, okay, if you say so, it will save us some time, okay? So we would expect that if capacitor and UI5 runtime respect the form factor, it would show us the modal dialog instead of a popover, right? I mean, we don't need this anymore. We don't need this anymore as well. And I had a capacitor project enabled, so to say, in my other application, and I had this issue I did not investigate. So I cannot tell, is it a big one? I mean, is there a way to enforce, you know, to properly tell UI5 that you are the mobile phone? Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, we're admin. Oh, come on, admin. Yeah, and there it is. So the width is adjusted, but the thing is, of course, it's just the responsiveness, right? So I can just start resizing the window, but still this guy will be a popover, so it has nothing to do with phone, right? Yeah, I mean, this is also what we expect. This is a quirk I don't like, so when I will focus on this field, this will zoom in, and then it will stay like that. Yeah, you see, we zoomed in, and yeah, the scale is not changed, so unfortunately, yeah, we have this page, you know, like scaled. And of course, we can rotate the phone, right? And you can see, so basically, I believe it feels that it's a, you know, a desktop page somehow, and maybe there is an easy workaround. I don't know yet. Okay, yeah, and the scale now is even bigger, right? Okay, so this is the place, and yeah, you can see that. Oh, hold on a second. Oh, okay, something interesting happened. Let's restart and see what will happen if we don't play with the buttons and stuff like that. Okay, so let's just restart this guy, because it looked like a model window. Okay, even though the scale is completely off. Okay, so we'll just say that we're admin. We'll just go here directly, and we'll just press this button. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. You cannot press it. Can we tab? Okay. Shift tab, no. Oh, come on. This is so annoying. What if I rotate now? Nothing. Okay, it's somewhere here. Yeah. Okay. I mean, so definitely it is an issue, right? But still, I was actually pretty happy, you know, to see that you can have this hybrid stuff working, right? So we will you know, have it as a cliffhanger, so to say. Yeah, the navigation, because obviously we can have a workaround with custom action. I mean, custom action. Where is this? Fiori showcase, right? So we just need to have an extension. Oh, come on, extension, custom. It's custom action here, and on the object page, you know, we also have options, list report. I mean, I was lazy to use the so object page, actions, custom actions, right? So yeah, in manifest you can extend this, and in the handler just, you know, do history -1 as we always did. So this is like more or less simple workaround, but the size, you know, yeah, is something that I'm not sure is easy, but yeah, we'll see. So I believe that's mostly it. We will leave it for further or subsequent blog posts, probably blog posts, not videos, because as I said, this was intended for, you know, for some cap showcase, so to say, internal presentation. But personally, I'm more into blogs, because oh yeah, by the way, that's a nice thing to close with. So when we started, I think I measured it in around 40 hours, and then I spent like 10 more to record the big video, and then I spent more, you know, to prepare for this one. So I would say in total it's still less than 80 hours, which is a sprint, a 2-week sprint, right? And so I would close with that. So even though we have some issues, from my perspective, it's really cool to have this rapid prototyping stuff available, right? And we also covered finally the responsiveness, in the mobile. So, with minor fixes and hacks, you can have your backend solution, you can have your app suite, right? And you can also have even the mobile applications. That's it from my side. Thank you for watching. Bye.